Hello.
Hello.
So, Tiffany, when you think of making a sustainable front lawn, what pops to your mind first thing?
I think of not grass.
Yeah, basically. But you're probably not thinking like bricks.
No.
you're probably thinking about what plants to use and how to like reduce pesticides and fertilizers and water.
Yeah,
But you're not going
flowers. Yeah.
you're not like hardscaping, right?
No.
Okay. So, hardscaping, which is all the non-living elements of your landscaping, is something that you should consider when you're thinking of sustainable lawn.
Oh,
So, not only
fascinating.
can replacing your water hungry grass with brick pathways or a patio help bring your water usage down, it can also be used to redirect water instead of just letting it become runoff. So, is this something a green minded person can just do? Welcome to Greening Up My Act.
Okay.
So, you might be interested to learn that there's not really a movement of people devoted to hardscaping. It's not like a thing on its own. Hardscaping is, I call it part of a balanced breakfast when it comes to landscaping. So there's not like a movement on Instagram that's like, hardscaping, do it now.
That's so interesting. So I'm really interested to hear about it then,
Yeah.
because if it's actually effective.
Yeah. But I don't think anybody considers it on its own. So
Right.
it's the little brother of sustainable lawn care. So
Yeah, well, it's way less fun than growing flowers for
yeah,
sure.
it's definitely. I mean, depending on how you do it, it can be less attractive or more attractive, but it just kind of depends. But there are some considerations I think that we'll go over tonight that you've probably never thought of. So
Yeah, probably not. I've given very little thought to
yeah,
hardscaping.
yeah. See, I think most people. Well, how about you tell the world who the hell are we?
Oh, who the hell are we? We are Greening Up My Act. We are two marketing writers in our day jobs. So we write a lot of, I don't want to say we write hooey.
No, no. I think
We write
everything I write
fluff
is
for
is
sure, though.
true. Well, it's SEO. Yeah, it gets
Yeah,
people to websites.
yeah.
I write a lot of informative articles, I would say.
Yeah. But I feel like the more brand stuff is definitely fluffy.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's yeah, it's not false by any means, but it's padded a little bit
Yeah.
with words that are
Yeah.
meaningless. But anyway, that's what we do in our day job, and so we decided to start this podcast so we could explore green products and what sort of what they're doing in their marketing,
Yeah.
and if they're greenwashing their stuff or if they're actually useful and doing what they say they're doing.
Yeah. We're both trying to live more personally sustainable lifestyles
Yes.
and have found that it can be really hard to like get down into what that means or how do you make the right choices when there's so much Instagram influencer
Oh god.
and no there's not very much nuance. There's just a lot of sales because we live in a capitalist society and that's kind of what it does. So
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, Instagram is a beast of its own.
Yeah.
We're kind of
Should
talking
we
about them a lot this season, actually. It's kind of
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, it's kind of influenced our I mean, because we're both highly online people.
Yeah.
I'm not a I'm a millennial, so it's not quite native to me, but I do spend time online and I get ads and anytime we have a conversation, I get ads for it the next day. So, um,
That's so funny.
yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I don't do TikTok. I do Instagram.
Yeah.
Um,
I
I'm
don't do TikTok. I'm
at
scared
that
of
age where
Yeah.
I just can't bring myself to do TikTok.
No, TikTok scares me. I mean, there's
Yeah.
yeah, we're like it's no government agency in the state of Texas is allowed to use it. Just
Wow. That's
yeah, you
so
can on a
interesting.
personal level. I don't. But yeah, they I don't know if they've changed this, but originally they could get all of your personal information from your phone. Like that was part of the terms and conditions when you sign on. Like
Wow.
all of your contact list, everything, all your information from your phone. So that's, and then what?
Yeah, that's so interesting. I mean, Instagram probably has,
Oh
and
yeah,
Facebook has access to most of it too, but
Google does too. Yeah, it's
yeah.
just they're American owned companies.
I don't know why that matters, but yeah, it's true.
Well, I don't want to necessarily get into it on this podcast, but there's enough fear of like what Russia has done during our elections and China
Yeah, that's true.
that there's I mean, and they were able to do it on American owned properties like Meta or Facebook. So,
Oh yeah, just
but it's
ran free with
just,
it.
yeah, I mean, we live in a cyber war era. So I don't know.
Yeah,
I think about getting off Facebook and Instagram all the time.
I do too. I don't like TikTok because I hear even more addictive than Instagram, and I'm like, I'm already addicted enough to
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, I
So
don't need, I definitely have like gone down the rabbit hole before. Like I tried it briefly and was just like, holy crap, no.
okay, I
Like it's
haven't
way
even
too
ever
much.
downloaded it.
Yeah.
They're almost the same thing.
Oh
Every
yeah.
TikTok is uploaded to Instagram, so it's
Yeah,
like
exactly. So you
I'm
get
getting the same shit.
yeah, everything is just like whatever social media form you use is definitely an aggregate of all the other social media. So
Yes,
I don't feel like I'm missing
exactly.
out. Okay, I changed the height of my desk.
Oh right,
Parts move.
right.
Yeah. But
So funny.
yeah, so anyway, we're not talking about social media
No.
tonight, but we are talking about marketing. And I will say that hardscaping doesn't have like a huge marketing budget. I would say there's a lot out there,
Not a huge marketing budget.
but it's not like there's not big. We call things big wildflower, big big clover. Um, this is just there's not really big hardscaping, I would say. But
So interesting. Those brick manufacturers need to get in on it.
well,
Okay, all right.
so I'm going to tell you about my sources. I did use 6, but one of them is not really. I don't think it
Not real.
necessarily. Yeah,
That's
it's not
fine. I
real.
used 6 last week.
Yeah,
We try to limit ourselves to 5 to make
yeah.
our podcast sustainable
Yes,
for our
exactly. Sustainable
time and
for us,
energy.
personally sustainable. So I started with the Spruce, which is a site we visit often. They had a thing called What is Hardscape? So there's
Hmm.
that. Ernest Meyer, which is a landscaping company.
Okay.
7 benefits of adding hardscaping to your outdoor living. Unit Paving, which is they're a paving company, so they are big brick. A beginner's guide to sustainable hardscape design.
Okay.
Um, they led to the EPA had an old greenscaping brochure, which I think is a great tool for anyone this whole season probably to use. They talk about it's more for municipal services to how
Okay.
they should set up, public areas, but it had some good points in it. And then I also used a website called Water Conservation for Lawn and Landscape, and
Okay.
they had an article called Using Sustainable Hardscaping Materials. And then my last one was the Austin Impervious Cover Calculation Criteria, which that's just kind of for me to have.
That's a lot of words, so I
Yes,
don't
and
even know
I'll
what that
explain what they
means.
mean. And that's just something like you can see kind of.
Impervious. Yeah, I kind of get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you what impervious cover is, but
Okay.
so we'll start with what is hardscaping?
There
And
we
I'm just
go.
quote it straight from the spruce. Hardscaping is all non-living elements in landscaping. So
Okay.
this is everything.
Why did I think I'm getting it confused with like xeriscaping?
Xeriscaping. Yeah, so anything using living plants is called softscaping. Any
Oh.
non-living elements is hardscaping.
Okay, I did not think that's what this was. Okay.
Yeah,
Now
so
we
that's
know.
why you're so confused. You're like, what are we talking about?
Huh? Bricks?
Yeah. Yeah.
No, but
Well,
I was originally thinking we're talking about I guess xeriscaping.
yeah,
Is that like
xeriscape.
for drought tolerant stuff?
Yeah, it's for desert landscapes, and we'll get
Okay.
into that later this season. I have a whole
Oh,
whole
cool.
series on it. So, yeah, but so brick patios, walkways, any walls, retaining
Okay.
walls, arbors, pergolas,
Huh.
driveways, gravel paths, flagstone, tiles, fences, you name it.
Okay.
Anything that's not a plant. This also includes water fountains or water
Okay.
features that the stone that's used to make them,
Okay. What about like
or
wood?
Or wood, yeah.
Okay.
And fire pits.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's everything that is not a plant basically in your landscaping.
Okay.
Um, so what eco-friendly claims are they making? Not a lot. They're not like you should hardscape because it's better for your lawn. But Ernest Meyer claims several benefits, mostly things like it improves the value of your home because curb appeal, but also it does reduce maintenance. So
Right.
we are very interested in that because the biggest contributor to emissions from having a lawn is maintenance. It's gas powered mowers, gas powered leaf blowers, etc. So, like the less lawn you have to mow, the less maintenance. Also, brick, stone are hardier than plants. You don't have to replace them. You don't have to, maintenance is pretty simple.
Okay. Yeah, because we had a whole episode on lawns. If you
Yeah.
missed it, go back.
Yeah. Go back in time and listen to that.
Go back.
So, I mean, that's the biggest ecological benefit, obviously.
Okay.
Um, Now, again, better water efficiency. You're not using water because you're not going to water brick unless
Mm-hmm.
you're, power washing it. But you don't have to set a timer and water your brick every morning at 7 a.m. to keep it alive. It's not alive. So obviously, you're using less water.
Mm-hmm.
It also provides more accessibility. So you can actually walk out to areas of your lawn that you might not in the past. And usability. So again, you have access to these places, but also, say, if you make a fire pit or a
Mm-hmm.
patio area, you're going to use more of your lawn. So it gives you
Yeah.
more reason to be outside.
Yeah, we really want to put a patio. We have a fire pit. It's like one of those homemade. It looks pretty good, but it's like very homemade.
Yeah.
With brick, but
Yeah.
not yeah. And we want to like make it actually permanent and put a patio on, but my god, the list of things to
I
do in
know.
this
That's
house
like
are
last in the.
yes.
Yeah, I get that.
Sadly.
It also provides you a way to cover up grade issues, which we talked about with wildflower lawns. If you have a slope,
Mhm.
you can even that out with hardscaping. So retaining
Okay.
walls. It also, if you use a retaining wall on a slope, it also gives you a flat surface to plant something. So it can increase your ability to plant.
Right. Yeah,
So,
I'm probably eventually going to have to do that with my lawn cuz there's a very big slope in our backyard.
yeah. Yeah. I live on a hill, and so my lawn kind of goes like this. And so I want to
Mhm.
do hardscaping that way.
Yeah.
But another thing is it can help with runoff.
Hmm.
So if you do, again, if you just have that slope, right? If you use hardscaping, it catches the water. Retaining walls can stop soil erosion, can stop runoff from just going straight to the street into the sewer. So there's all
Right.
kinds of benefits there. It gives you better like water usability.
Man, I would have thought the grass. I guess grass is pretty bad at water retention, right? Or
Yeah,
erosion.
I think, well, especially where it wears away. Like grass wants a flat slope or a
Right.
flat, surface. So it can't really grow on the slopes. And so especially if you get like a heavy rain off, you've seen the
Yeah.
ditches that, water will find its level and find its own way. And so it's going to create a pathway down to the street. So
Mhm.
that can mean taking out grass as it goes.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
yeah. So those are all great benefits. Um, Now, Unit Paving Inc., who they mostly do municipal landscaping, it looks like in South Carolina, they noted in their article just because you're using brick, stone, or whatever, it doesn't mean you're using sustainable brick, stone, wood, whatever.
Yeah.
So it can
That's what I was
actually,
wondering about, yeah.
yeah, they recommend obviously you should use recycled materials and locally sourced materials, which sounds great until you start looking for them and realize Lowe's and Home Depot don't really label. They don't sell reclaimed brick. You
Yeah.
can find people who do, but again, it takes research, and also obviously you can use stuff you already have in your yard. So, for instance, um, I put a patio in my backyard when I moved into this house in 2020, and we had it. There was a brick driveway, and so they took a bunch of the brick out to put the patio in. So I have all these bricks, and so I can make walkways through my yard and things like that. So
Nice.
and so my best friend from elementary school, what's up, Jen? Hope you listen to this. She sent me, we were talking about this while I was talking on the phone with her today, and she sent me a picture of she's building a little planter with her paving stones that somebody left previous.
Oh,
So
cool. I've seen
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. So you can reuse stuff. I mean, on a kind of smaller scale.
Yeah. I think your mic is like slowly creeping down.
It's what the frack? What is
It's probably one
happening?
of the little knobbies is loose.
Yeah. Is it you? Yeah, it's you.
Is it you?
You jerk. And maybe this guy.
We're gonna get
Yeah,
it.
my desk also has this thing where it just like tilted on its own, so this should be better.
Okay. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it was just kind of like, like my microphone lost its heart on.
Exactly what I was thinking.
So sad. I need to feed it
Sad
more
boy.
iron or something. Yes, sad boy. There we go. Okay, stop it. It's like you didn't give me anything for Valentine's Day. So.
You definitely got to keep that part in. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Also, just because you're not watering your brick pathway, it doesn't mean that the water is being used more efficiently. So, obviously, water wastage can happen. And hardscaping, if done well, should help guide the water back to the soil and plants rather than just directing it to the street, right? To go into the sewer. Obviously, they talk in the EPA stuff, water that goes through permeable layers, which we'll get into a little bit more, but plants, for instance, soil, it actually filters a lot of the things out that goes into our groundwater. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, having stuff just run straight off the street, it collects oil and stuff and just goes into our wastewater. So that means paying more in taxes to treat wastewater and things like that, whereas it could just be,
Wow.
watering your yard. So
I always wondered how groundwater was safe to drink. Maybe that's why.
well, it's part of it. Yeah. I mean, you still have to treat groundwater, obviously, but yeah, part of it is it's filtered like a charcoal
Yeah.
filter. You think about it.
So interesting. I mean, I have a well and we do have like I don't know, it's kind of treated, but
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's all
it's
kinds of.
safe. There's no bacteria in it. We tested
Yeah.
it, so.
But yeah, I mean, that's a consideration. I haven't thought about that very much. So yeah, that's why, like, just paving your whole front lawn might save you on water usage, but it's not necessarily sustainable for the neighborhood, right? You're
Right.
just creating a surface that water just runs off of.
Right.
So yeah. So this leads to that EPA brochure, which looks like it was built in GeoCities like 1998, but who knows? But they have a whole list of ways that you can greenscape areas.
Was.
Yeah, probably. Or, federal government don't get many upgrades.
Right.
And it's, again, mostly tips for municipal landscaping. So, like, if you're building a shopping mall, like, what to consider when you do hardscaping. But some of their stuff is actually really useful for homeowners, too. Like, so replace plastic silt fencing with compost blankets, berms, and filter socks. So use compost materials rather than plastic.
Plastic what?
Yeah, plastic silt fencing, which
Okay. Some people out there probably know what the hell that is.
I'm sure. Frank.
Silt fencing, because I was thinking like.
So okay, so these are the things you set up around your building sites.
Okay.
To like keep it in until you fully landscape it.
Uh-huh.
So, if you have a construction site, have you seen those compost berms that are filled with like hay and stuff instead of the plastic fence?
Oh, okay.
So if you're doing a major landscaping project, use that.
Okay.
Use fewer non-permeable hardscaping, like so concrete or like full brick with no spacing in between it. That's non-permeable. Non-permeable means the water can't get through. So use less of that so that water runoff and erosion are minimized. Use reclaimed plastic lumber, like we were talking about when we talked about Ridwell. When they collect the plastic, they send it to a company that makes this fake lumber that's made out of plastic, which is what my back patio is built out of.
Okay.
Use
that's basically composite, right?
Yeah, composite.
Okay.
Use that instead of new wood lumber.
Okay.
So
it's better.
Well, it lasts longer, but it also means you're not cutting down new trees.
Right.
So, again, we want to use reclaimed items as much as possible and don't use, you know, lumber is one of the top ways that we destroy the environment, cutting
Right.
down forests, hardwood forests. So, yeah, don't
Yeah.
use new lumber. There's ways we can avoid that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So, I mean, those are all great suggestions, and I think again, now that we're getting into, does anything back up these claims? Are they provable? I, I don't know. There's no easy to find numbers on hardscaping itself on how it can save water or reduce fertilizers or pesticides, etc. I mean, it obviously does, but I couldn't find like how much water can you save hardscaping. It's like,
Right.
well, you could save up to 9,000 gallons a year as part of a greater landscaping plan. So again, it's part of a balanced breakfast. Nobody's looking at
Right.
hardscaping on its own as the thing that's going to save the modern American lawn from being an ecological disaster.
Right.
So you need to consider permeability. That's the big one.
Okay.
How the water can get through the material. So, for instance, if you are going to create a brick or flagstone feature, arrange them in a way that water can get through around them.
Okay.
Or, use a gravel path instead of a hard concrete path. They do make pervious concrete and asphalt.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which will let water through to the soil without creating a runoff issue. Again,
Huh.
like hard concrete, it just comes right off, right? Um, Here's an aside. I always try to check myself because I knew a structural engineer who got so mad when people said cement, like, oh, the cement sidewalk. And like, no, cement is the thing that holds the concrete together. You're talking about concrete. So anyway, concrete is what we use, not cement.
Wait, hold on. What is cement?
Cement is the glue,
Oh.
not the final product. Concrete is that final product because it's
Okay,
made
so
of like pieces of rock that are
okay.
cemented together.
Cement and concrete. So
People
interesting
use them
because
interchangeable. Yeah.
yeah, because I have been reading Charlie a lot of books about construction vehicles, and there's like the cement mixer or the
Yep.
concrete mixer. I've
Yep.
actually asked myself, like, what the hell is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
So
guess cement.
cement is making the glue, concrete is making that final product.
So interesting. It's probably a
Yeah.
cement mixer then, right? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Who
hope I just
knows?
said that correctly, but I'm pretty sure
It sounds right. It sounds right.
concrete is what you're supposed to say.
So funny. Okay.
So perviousness, that's another issue that we get to. Impervious means impermeable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll talk about that in a minute as well. So well, maybe right now I'm just going to say we can
Yeah.
take a little break before
Oh
I get
yeah.
into
Let's do
is
that.
this something a normal person could do or afford? I'm going to drink some tea.
Yeah.
Knock over my lamp. Okay, so one of the things we care about most in Greening Up My Act is how accessible are these things to do for a normal person.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we've kind of learned this in landscaping in general. Like, number one, you have to own a lawn. And I feel like hardscaping can get a little bit out of the reach of normal Joe Schmo. So, yeah, you can add in a brick patio by yourself. You can go to Lowe's or Home Depot or wherever and they have kits you can buy and you can just do it in your lawn in an afternoon, you know.
Theoretically an afternoon. It took us
Yeah.
2 full days to do a tiny ass
Yeah.
fire pit.
Yeah. So that takes some money, some elbow grease,
Mm-hmm.
and some planning. And you may have to redo it if you didn't level everything properly. I mean, there's a lot of that goes into it. Also, you can't just like throw gravel on top of grass.
Right.
Like you have to remove the grass and like set a
Mm-hmm.
path and like set it in place so that it doesn't run off the first time it rains. So yeah, you can do it yourself. However, you might have to redo it. There's all kinds of other considerations.
Yep.
It's better to have a landscape design and a plan, which means more thinking, and probably paying someone to do it is your best bet in a lot of times, especially if you're new at it and you live in a place where your homeowners association is going to be upset if it's not done properly. So professional help costs money. Like, for instance, setting up a retaining wall with a French drain takes a little expertise. I can't just dig a hole and hope it works, you know? I definitely had to have my retaining wall and my fence in my backyard that faces the street redone, and that was a pretty penny.
Did you
Yeah.
have a designer,
Um,
or was it just a
yeah, I
contractor?
paid for a designer and he wrote me a design. I had gotten like a big tax refund or something or a bonus at work, and I was like, okay, my absolute top is $25,000 to do the whole project.
Uh-huh.
And he quoted, got me a whole beautiful landscape design, $40,000. And I was like, well,
Let's cut that in half
I'm
and
just
let's do
gonna
that part.
do the fence. Yeah, so I just did the
Oh Lord.
fence
Okay.
because the fence was falling onto the street and I needed it done. So
Yeah.
I redid the fence, the retaining wall. It looks gorgeous, but yeah, that was, my dreams of a fully landscaped front yard are with good hardscaping are kind of beyond where I am at economically.
Yeah. Preaching to the choir, I think,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
most of us. Yeah.
yeah. I think a lot of, I mean, no, the fact that I own a home in the first place is pretty odd for a millennial right now. It's kind of out of the reach,
Mm-hmm.
but it is expensive to own a home. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's not. I think about all the time, like maybe I should like sell this place and go rent, but
Oh,
I don't
we've
know.
thought about it a million times.
Yeah.
Our sunroom is practically falling off the
Oh yeah.
house. So we're like, fuck.
Yeah.
And our AC unit is about to blow up, which is gonna be like $7,000.
Yeah.
So
That
we're
was
like,
my
cool.
$10,000 investment last summer was a new HVAC. It went out in
Love
the
it.
middle of August. It was 109.
Oh my god.
It's brilliant, and it was a 27-year-old. Rest in peace.
Nice. 27.
It
Whoa,
was
ours is like
27.
20, and I
Yeah.
figured it's gonna be a goner soon, but
Yeah.
maybe not.
I
Maybe
would.
we got 7 more years in her.
Well, don't chance it. Pro tip: do it in the spring when they're cheap, or like in the winter is the best time to replace your air conditioner because they're cheaper. But yeah,
Oh, we were
do
just
it
gonna
before you need
wait
it.
until it dies.
I mean, you can, but it's going to be an uncomfortable few days, especially if
True.
it's. I mean, that's when they go out, is when it's hot, and they.
That's true.
So yeah. Anyway, yeah. So then there's also sourcing for materials, right? If you want to use reclaimed brick, etc., you've got to do that research. You probably aren't going to have 3 tons of gravel just lying around that you can reuse. You got to figure out where to get it. Um, it can get expensive too. You can ask your
Mm-hmm.
builder and landscape architect definitely to use sustainable materials, and they should have the hookup. But again, you're going to have to decide on pricing and color. I mean, there's all kinds of mental load that happens with this. So it's not, I don't think most hardscaping on a grand scale is like just oh yeah, this weekend I'm going to do some hardscaping. Like,
Yeah.
you got to have a plan.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
and then another thing to consider is impervious cover laws in your
Hmm.
area. So that was what I was talking about. So impervious cover, again, is another term for impermeable stuff. So um, the
So
law
like
in
a tarp.
Austin, um, I don't, that's not a permanent impervious cover. Impervious
Oh.
cover is pavement,
Oh, okay. Okay, gotcha.
buildings. So in Austin, a certain amount of the whole subdivision has to have pervious cover. Like, there's a certain amount for flooding and drainage issues that you have to be able to let it soak back into the land. So you can't
Okay.
just. And so when I did that patio outside, again, because there was already a brick driveway there, which was impervious cover, I could build the patio on top of it because it was already considered impervious. So
Okay.
I didn't have to worry about the water getting out, like finding uncovering something else to create space so that I could legally do this.
Yeah.
Um, and that's something, again, your landscape architect should be able to help you with because they should know. But yeah, again, your HOA might not want you to pave your front lawn. Like, you've got to know the rules and regulations of your place, and do you need a permit for that? Or, Is it going to be more bureaucracy to put in a patio than not? You know, all these kinds of questions.
Yeah. Interesting.
So
I'm feeling so lucky I don't have an HOA.
I know I don't have an HOA. Well, I'm
Oh yeah,
technically
you
in an
said
HOA, but yeah, it's not
it's
real.
like you and someone else.
Yeah, but I mean, there's permitting rules in Austin that are people just build stuff, and then when you try to sell the house, you found out it wasn't permitted, and so it's like, oh, that causes an issue. So there's
Ugh.
those kinds of things to consider.
I know somebody who remodeled their entire basement
Yeah.
and didn't get permits for it. And I'm
Mm,
like, you're so screwed.
forget it. That house has to stay in the family for the rest of your life. And if
Truly.
it, and insurance might not cover it either. That's another
I
question.
didn't want to break it to this person, but I was like, yikes.
Yeah. Jeez.
Anyway, get your permits.
Yeah. Yeah. Look into those things. And again, hiring a professional helps a lot if
Mm-hmm.
you can afford it.
Right.
Okay. So does the earth friendly message need to come back to earth? No, there's not really one with hardscaping. It's not, nobody's like, save the planet, hardscape. It's like part of landscaping in general. So it's overall landscape. Just
Right.
in there. It's part of a balanced breakfast. So I don't think it I don't think there's any marketing out there that's trying to sell you a bill of goods that's actually not sustainable. I don't think that's the
Yeah.
case. So um okay, now we're talking about our granola rating. And this is the segment of the show. Tiffany devised this granola rating because we're dirty hippies and we like our granola crunchy. And so we have a scale of 1 to 5 granolas. You know, 1 is soggy, 2 is mushy, 3 is chewy, 4 is crunchy, and 5, which is the best, is break your tooth off. And we rate all of the products, services, whatever we're talking about based on how they work. You know, are the marketing claims out of whack and could somebody do it? You know, could a normal person do it? So for hardscaping, I'm giving hardscaping a 3 to 3.5. So
Okay.
yes, done properly, it can cut down on water consumption. It can cut down on emissions. It can make your yard more sustainable. But the done properly part is the trick. So just paving your whole front lawn, not going to make things better for the environment. It should be part of a balanced landscaping breakfast. So on its own, you know, it's a cool thing to think about, but I don't think, again, the expense gets in the way. You can do little hardscaping projects around, you know, like take out some of your lawn and put in a gravel pathway, things like that.
Right.
But again, the amount of thinking you have to do about it, and you know, not everyone can do this. Like if you live in a rental property, you can't just
Right.
hardscape it up. Um,
It's kind of like
so
clover. It's like you're not going to do you can do your whole lawn on clover, but the clover lawns that I saw that were really nice had a lot of hardscaping in them, and it was like clover in between a
yeah,
lot of like
yeah,
pavers and stuff like that. So it
yeah,
wasn't just like fields and fields and fields of clover.
right, yeah.
So
So yeah, it's the 3.5, right in the middle, chewy.
that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So
What I really want to do, I have this section of my lawn that's really. First off, I need a tree over there because it is so freaking dry and just sun beating down on it all day. And it's just dead, just
yeah,
crispy. And I want to take pavers and just create a path. I got this idea from, I think, Yard Farmer on Instagram.
yeah,
She's great. We talked about her last time, but um, she said she wishes she wouldn't. I think she put mulch down in a path or something. She either mulched it or graveled it, and she wishes she hadn't done that because for some reason, I think upkeep,
yeah,
maintenance or something. And instead, she wishes she had done like pavers and then put clover or some sort of like there's a bunch of
yeah.
thyme or oregano,
Yeah,
like
you can grow all
creeping
kinds of
stuff.
things around them. I mean, there's a lot of like if you go look up hardscaping, there's some beautiful stuff you can do. And
Yeah.
I want to do some of that too. Cuz
Yeah,
my
and I
yeah,
think like
again,
one little tiny path I can handle by
yeah.
myself.
Yeah,
But
that yeah, I want to like I have a concrete sidewalk that goes out to the street from my house and it's cracked and I'd like to just put pavers on top of it, you know.
yeah.
So that's something I could do.
Mhm.
And then also like to get out to the driveway. I'd like to do something with the driveway so that it's not just dirt.
Mhm.
Or at least a little bit more attractive. I don't know. There's all kinds of
Yeah.
things. So
Yes.
yeah, and but it's just again, It's the last project I think of. I just had to replace the roof. So like,
tell me about it. Oh, you just had to do that?
Well, not the whole roof.
Okay.
There's a recurring leak.
Ah.
And it ends up, it's from apparently, before I moved in here, apparently they had critter trouble. So pest control came and sprayed some foam somewhere, and we did like a whole bunch of, we thought it was leaking from this one place, but it was actually leaking from the other side. And so like finally my roofers came in and took the roof off and looked, and they're like, all right. And they replaced the section, and now it's not leaking.
Wow.
But yeah, it was like, cool. But now I have to like redo the bathroom walls because they're all blistered from the leaks.
Of course.
So.
Yep.
But there you go. That's hardscaping. This was
ownership.
Yeah, exactly. This was a shorter episode than we normally do, which is not by much though. Only like 15 minutes. Yeah.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah.
For short.
Next week we're going to talk about Leave the Leaves.
Yes.
Which was our original inspiration for this whole season, actually. I think.
Yeah, we were originally going to start with Leave the Leaves, but
it was hairy.
We reformatted. Yeah, we were working on some formatting issues in terms of like our entire we're going through a
podcast
existential crisis.
Podsistential crisis. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think we landed on a better spot for sure. Because it was so long. It was like over an hour.
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't going to work.
It was and like like both of us the next week were just like, I can't research.
Like, I'm sweating still.
I can't do it. Yeah. It was just a lot. So I think this takes a lot of pressure off of us to just do kind of lighter.
Totally.
bites.
Yes. I love it.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, thank you. This was fantastic.
I'm stoked.
What should we ask people to do for us?
Well, follow us on Instagram. We'll try to show you some cool hardscaping.
There we go.
At Greening Up My Act on Instagram and Facebook, if you're there. Not on TikTok.
No. Yeah, that's what Charlie keeps saying. No.
Yeah, don't look for us on TikTok. We're not going.
All right. Well, thank you. We'll see you next week.
Toodaloo.
Bye.